Right now, across Britain, thousands of drivers are topping up their oil every fortnight and wondering if it's normal. It's not. Some cars on UK roads are burning through a litre of oil every 1,000 miles, and the repair bills are absolutely crippling families from Glasgow to Brighton. I'm about to show you 10 motors that'll drain your wallet faster than petrol prices after a Middle East crisis. If you're eyeing any of these on AutoTrader right now, you need to hear this first before you hand over your hard-earned cash. The British used car market is absolutely flooded with oil-guzzling nightmares, and dealerships won't tell you the truth until it's far too late. With the cost of living squeezing every single household in the UK, the last thing you need is a car that demands £40 worth of oil top-ups between services. We're talking about engines that consume oil like a diesel generator on a building site, leaving you stranded on the M25, or facing a £4,000 rebuild bill at your local garage in Manchester or Bristol. I've spent years talking to mechanics right across the UK, and the same cars keep appearing in their workshops. These aren't just minor inconveniences or small quirks. They're fundamental design flaws that'll haunt you through every single MOT and absolutely tank your resale value when you try to shift them. I've ranked 10 cars from bad to absolutely catastrophic, and trust me, number 1 will shock even the most seasoned petrol heads. You'd expect German engineering to be bulletproof, but wait until you see what's lurking at the top of this list. Number 10, BMW 3 Series. The BMW 3 Series with the N47 diesel engine seemed like a brilliant choice for British motorways. Efficient, refined, and absolutely perfect for those long London to Edinburgh business runs that so many of us do. But here's what nobody tells you about these 2007 to 2014 models. The N47 engine has a catastrophic timing chain issue that leads to excessive oil consumption that'll shock you. The chain stretches over time, the tensioner fails prematurely, and suddenly, you're burning oil at an absolutely alarming rate. It starts innocently enough, maybe half a litre between services, but within just months you're topping up weekly like clockwork. The oil warning light becomes your constant companion on the dashboard, mocking you every single journey. When that timing chain eventually snaps, and it absolutely will snap, the entire engine grenades itself in spectacular fashion. Valves meet pistons in a mechanical disaster that'll leave you stranded on the hard shoulder, wondering what went wrong. You're looking at £3,500 to £5,000, minimum for a proper engine rebuild at most UK garages across the country. Halfords won't even touch it with a barge pole. Independent specialists charge £80 per hour minimum, and this job takes several days of intensive labour to complete properly. Here's the British nightmare. Nobody mentions these cars passed MOTs for years, while the problem festered away underneath the bonnet. Insurance companies class it as standard wear and tear, so you're completely on your own financially. Right-hand drive models seem particularly affected compared to European versions, and with our constant stop-start motorway traffic around London and Birmingham, the chain wears faster than BMW ever anticipated in their German testing facilities. Picture this realistic scenario. You're commuting to Leeds every single morning, and suddenly the oil light starts flickering ominously. You ignore it for just 2 days because you're completely skint after Christmas shopping and the kids' presents. Then the engine seizes solid on the A1 during rush hour. Recovery costs you £150. Repair quotes start at 4 grand minimum, and your motor's only worth £2,000 on a good day. That's the harsh reality facing thousands of British drivers right now across the country. But if you reckon that's bad, wait until you hear about number 9. Number 9, Audi A4. The Audi A4 2.0 TFSI from 2008 to 2015 looked like the sensible premium choice for British executives climbing the corporate ladder. Decent on fuel, plenty of badge appeal for client meetings, and Audi's supposedly rock-solid reputation for quality engineering. This engine drinks oil like a student drinks cheap lager on Freshers' Week at university. The fundamental problem is piston, ring design, and excessive cylinder wear that Audi never properly addressed. These engines were built during Audi's experimental phase with lightweight components to meet emissions targets, and British drivers are paying the price every single day. The piston rings don't seal properly from the factory. Oil seeps into the combustion chamber constantly, and it burns straight through your exhaust system. You can actually smell it in traffic jams. The oil consumption accelerates dramatically as the miles rack up on the clock. At 60,000 miles, you might use a litre per 2,000 miles. By 100,000 miles, you're adding expensive oil monthly without fail. The engine management light comes on repeatedly. Sensors fail from oil contamination throughout the system. And your local garage just shrugs because it's supposedly within manufacturer tolerance. Audi UK officially claimed 1 litre per 1,000 miles was perfectly acceptable performance. Think about it for a moment. That's absolutely mental for a modern engine. You're spending £30 to £40 on fully synthetic oil every single month, plus your regular service costs on top. Over 3 years of ownership, that's an extra £1,200 minimum before you even start. The actual engine rebuild costs between £4,500 and £6,500 at Audi main dealers in London or Manchester. The MOT becomes a complete lottery because oil burning creates serious emissions problems that testers flag immediately. Your catalytic converter gets completely clogged with oil residue, and that's another £800 gone in replacement costs. These cars are absolutely everywhere, from Bristol to Glasgow on forecourts, and buyers have absolutely no clue what they're buying. The RAC sees them broken down constantly on motorways, oil starvation being the ultimate killer of these engines. Imagine you bought one from a seemingly reputable dealership in Manchester for £8,000, thinking you'd got an absolute bargain on a premium German car. 6 months later, you're £2,000 deep in unexpected repairs, and the car's worth less than you originally paid. Your mate down the pub laughs because he warned you about German cars being money pits. Your wallet cries every time you see it on the driveway. And it gets significantly worse. Number 8. Volkswagen Passat. The VW Passat 1.4 TS. I was marketed heavily as the efficient family car perfectly suited for British roads, turbocharged for decent performance, economical for the school run, and VW reliability that everyone trusts implicitly. The 1.4 TSI engine suffers from catastrophic piston ring failure and cylinder bore wear that'll absolutely bankrupt you over time. These 2010 to 2015 models have a fundamental design flaw that VW never really acknowledged publicly. The cylinder walls wear unevenly under normal driving conditions, creating microscopic grooves that let oil pass freely into the combustion chamber. It's not a gradual problem you can manage either. 1 month, you're absolutely fine. The next month, you're down 2 full litres. The turbocharger compounds the existing issue because it creates massive pressure that forces oil past already worn seals. You'll notice blue smoke on startup every morning, especially on cold British mornings in winter. The DPF gets badly contaminated from constant oil burning, triggering limp mode on motorways when you need power. Most VW dealerships charge £5,000 to £7,000 for complete engine replacement with a reconditioned unit from Germany. Independent garages in Birmingham or Leeds might do it slightly cheaper for £3,500, but they're using pattern parts that may not last. You're still spending more than the car's actual worth on the open market. The DVLA doesn't flag these as problematic vehicles in any database, so completely unsuspecting buyers snap them up daily, thinking they've scored a reliable family car. Insurance premiums rise sharply when you declare any modification history or major engine work to insurers. Our damp British climate and typical short journey patterns make the problem significantly worse than in Europe. The engine never gets hot enough to burn cleanly and efficiently. You bought it specifically to ferry the kids to school reliably in Surrey, but now you're obsessively checking the dipstick every single time you fill up at Sainsbury's petrol station. The stress alone isn't worth the badge on the bonnet anymore. But here's the twist that'll surprise you. Number 7. Mini Cooper S. The Mini Cooper S with the N14 engine seemed absolutely perfect for British city streets and country lanes. Nippy, fun to drive, and quintessentially British in character, even if BMW technically owns them now. The N14 engine has catastrophic timing chain and oil consumption issues that'll completely wreck your finances. The timing chain tensioner fails prematurely under normal conditions, causing excessive wear and severe oil burning. Carbon buildup on intake valves from the direct injection system absorbs oil like a sponge, which then burns during combustion cycles. The variable valve timing system gums up from thick sludge, making consumption spiral worse over time. You'll hear the distinctive timing chain rattle on cold starts, a genuine death knell for the engine. Oil pressure drops completely unpredictably, and if you're caught out even once, the engine seizes. Completely solid engine replacement costs £4,000 to £5,500 at mini dealerships in Manchester or Bristol for genuine parts. You can find cheaper used engines on eBay, but they often have exactly the same problem brewing underneath. Monthly oil consumption easily runs £25 to £40, depending on your driving style. MOT emissions tests become genuinely nail-biting experiences because these smoke constantly. Insurance companies see these expensive repairs on vehicle history checks and immediately jack up your premiums. Our British weather and constant damp atmosphere make carbon buildup significantly worse than drier Mediterranean climates. You bought it thinking you'd captured the spirit of the Italian job, but now you're the standing joke at petrol stations, adding castrol every single week without fail. Think that's rough? Wait till you see what's coming next. Number 6. Subaru Impreza. The Subaru Impreza with the legendary EJ Boxer engine was the rally hero, the absolute dream car for British petrolheads who grew up watching Colin McRae. The EJ25 burns oil at absolutely shocking rates. The horizontal boxer design means oil naturally pools in the cylinder heads when parked overnight, leading to oil starvation on startup every morning. Piston rings wear quickly, especially on UK models that constantly see cold starts and short journeys. Turbo models consume even more because the turbocharger's extreme heat accelerates oil breakdown. The engine starts smoking badly under hard acceleration, genuinely embarrassing you at traffic lights. Head gasket failures compound the oil loss dramatically, mixing coolant and oil into disgusting brown sludge. You're spending £40 to £50 monthly on quality oil because Subaru specifies expensive synthetic grades. Engine rebuilds cost £4,500 to £6,000 at specialists. Head gasket replacement alone runs £1,500 to £2,000, and it needs doing every 60,000 miles. Like clockwork, the MOT becomes a genuine gamble with emissions. Parts availability is genuinely patchy post-Brexit, with some critical gaskets taking weeks to arrive from Japan. The RAC sees these broken down regularly from seized engines after owners missed oil levels dropping. Imagine buying your absolute dream Impreza in Leeds for £12,000. 3 months later, you're £2,500 into repairs, and every drive is stressful, and it gets worse still. Number 5. BMW X5. The BMW X5 with the N62 V8 was the ultimate luxury SUV for wealthy British families. Powerful, spacious, and German prestige. The N62 V8 is infamous for consuming oil at catastrophic rates. The engine has fundamental design flaws with valve stem seals and piston rings. The valve stem seals harden and crack in British weather, letting oil pour into combustion chambers. You'll burn through a litre every 500 to 700 miles on bad examples. Cold starts produce clouds of blue smoke, alarming your neighbours. We're talking £7,000 to £10,000 for complete engine rebuilds. Used engine swaps cost £4,000 to £5,000, plus labour. Monthly oil consumption runs £60 to £80. Annual costs for just topping up approach £900. The MOT becomes a nightmare with emissions failures. Insurance companies see these repair histories and classify you as high risk. You wanted the school-run SUV. Now you're spending £200 monthly keeping it alive. But here's where it gets properly mental. Number 4. Audi A5. The Audi A5 3.0 TD. I was the executive coupe, effortless torque, elegant design. The 3.0 TDI has critical oil consumption from failed piston rings. This isn't petrol, it's diesel, making it more alarming. Piston rings wear prematurely. You'll notice black smoke under acceleration. The twin turbos have oil seals that fail. Engine rebuilds cost £6,000 to £8,500. Turbo replacement adds another £2,500 per turbo. Monthly consumption reaches £50 to £70. MOT failures from emissions are common. Post-Brexit parts delays mean weeks waiting. You bought it thinking diesel efficiency would save money. Instead, you're haemorrhaging cash. Think that's the worst diesel? Not even close. Number 3. Range Rover Sport. The Range Rover Sport 2.7 TD V6 was aspirational, built for our roads, prestigious. The 2.7 TD V6 has catastrophic oil consumption. The crankshaft bearings wear prematurely. The twin turbos fail regularly. When that happens, engines can run away on their own oil. We're talking £8,000 to £12,000 for engine replacement. Turbo replacement costs £3,000 to £4,500. Monthly consumption runs £80 to £100. MOT emissions tests are terrifying. Insurance companies classify these as high risk. You bought it to project success. Now you're trapped in a money pit, and it gets worse. Number 2, Porsche Cayenne. The Porsche Cayenne with M48 V8 was ultimate performance. Stuttgart engineering, Porsche prestige. The M48 V8 has legendary oil consumption from bore scoring. The cylinder bores develop vertical scratches. British cold mornings are brutal. Once bore scoring begins, it accelerates rapidly. Engine replacement costs £15,000 to £20,000. Even used swaps run £8,000 to £12,000. Monthly consumption reaches £100 plus. MOT tests become embarrassing. Parts need months waiting. Imagine dropping £35,000 on a bargain. 18 months later, you've spent another £18,000. But here's what'll truly shock you. Number 1, Volkswagen Golf. The VW Golf R with early EA 888 was supposed to be sensible. Fast, practical, VW reliability. The EA 888 Gen 1 has catastrophic failures that dwarf everything. The piston rings were designed too thin, wearing within 40,000 miles. Unlike others, this happens across all engines. The timing chain tensioner uses plastic that shatters in British cold. VW dealerships want £6,000 to £9,000 for rebuilds. The catch, replacement parts have same flaws. Monthly consumption costs £60 to £90. MOT failures guaranteed after 60,000 miles. The DVLA has no recall flags. Here's what makes this number 1. Golf Rs are everywhere. Thousands were sold as sensible alternatives. You bought yours for £18,000. 6 months later, you've spent £3,000. These 10 cars represent systemic problems. Manufacturers prioritized emissions over longevity. Our driving patterns accelerate problems. The used market is flooded with time bombs. From BMW N47 to catastrophic Golf R, these disasters cost millions. Number 1 shocked me. Thousands are ticking time bombs. Smash that like button. Which shocked you most? Comment below. Subscribe so you don't make mistakes. Next video, worst timing belt failures. Cheers for watching. Drive safe. Check your oil.